Hello, boys and girls. It's Doc Fizz with the ever-popular Mr. Higgs in a cone. Cone Mr. Higgs. Today we're going to talk about some electrical equipment. How shocking that that's what we're talking about. To direct your attention here, the first thing I'd like to talk about is something called an ammeter. Now, an ammeter measures something called current. Current is our thing, right? And it's measured in units of amperes or amps. So if you've ever heard the term amps, that's where that comes from. Now, the other device we have is something called a voltmeter. And the voltmeter will measure voltage. Now, these two devices work insanely differently from one another. The ammeter fundamentally works like this. If you've ever been to any sort of sporting event or concert, a lot of times they have those things called turnstiles that you have to walk through. And every time you go through, it goes click, 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 and it counts how many people pass through. The difference between an ammeter and the turnstile is the ammeter brings in a rate, so a time. So you see, if we were to have a light bulb, a battery, and if I were to hook this up with a wire, I need this to be like a turnstile. So if I were to hook this up like this, yes, the light bulb's working, but the ammeter is not. And the reason for that is the electrons aren't going through it, so they can't be counted. But what if we were to set this up a little differently? What if I were to connect this like this? Oh, now we're getting this to count because the electrons are going through it. An ammeter. Now, voltmeters are a little different in the fact that voltage has another name, and that other name for voltage is something called potential difference, which implies that there's a difference between the two spots. So what voltage is going to do is it's going to look at electrons in one spot, look at electrons in another spot, and compare them, and how different they are. It will tell you that. So if we think about this, right, if I were to put my one side of my voltmeter here and the other side here, you see I get a reading of 0. And it's reading 0 because those electrons aren't different from one another. So because they're not different, it's not reading anything. But what if I put one side on this side of the battery and the other one on this side? Now it's giving me a reading because it's saying the electrons on this side and this side are different by 9 volts. I also, if I want, could put this on either side of my light bulb. And you see again, 9 volts. And now if I connect it the other way, -9. Ooh, very interesting. What we want to note here is the numerical difference, at least for now. So the fun way to think about this, the fun way to sort of think about these two things is an ammeter. The electrons have to go through it. But a voltmeter is like a good friend. It just wants to give you a hug. A hug. Back to the physics. So now, let's talk a little bit about the experiment you're going to do. So let's reset everything. You are going to take one battery. You are going to take one resistor. Ooh, fancy. You're going to take one wire. You're going to hook this up. We're going to add in an ammeter here, like this, so we can easily read these values. Now, the first thing I want you to do, the very first thing we're going to do, is we're going to click on this resistor, and we're going to set this to be exactly 39 ohms. 39. Why? Because I said so. There's no real reason. It's just sort of, let's pick a weird number. What you're then going to do in this experiment is the following. You're going to take the voltage from 0 up, collecting about 20 data points, and writing down the voltage and writing down the current. And we'll take those two things, pop it into Google Sheets, and collect the data! The data! And in class, you guys will talk a little bit more about this. But we're looking for about 20 data points, and then, so changing the voltage, you can see if I just jump this around a little bit, you can see we can read the current, change the voltage, read the current, and we're gonna keep doing that until you have about 20 data points. Is there anything else that you need them to know, Mr. Lindley? Anything else? Nope, I think that's about it, Doc. So, kids, good luck with that lab, and as always, any questions, feel free to reach out and email me. Until next time.